calling Love After 50. Today, I have in studio with me some guests from not just Boston local, but some guests even from Jackson, Mississippi. We're talking about Love After 50. We started this conversation on our last show, and it actually aired twice. And so now we are bringing you part two of the conversation. It's a series that we see going on for the next couple of months as we talk to some couples who are newly engaged, talking to some couples who are married, talking to some folks that are divorced, some folks who have never been married, some who are waiting on marriage, some who are waiting on God, some who don't even know what they want, but they're just happy to be here. We look forward to the conversation. We're so glad that you're joining us. If you have questions, we're asking you to write in, call us, send us an email. We invite your conversation. We invite your comments. We invite your participation. If you'd like to be a guest on the show while we're having this conversation, we invite that too. So we welcome you on today. I'm going to ask my guests to introduce themselves. Again, I'm Pastor Traci Jackson. At the bottom of my screen in the red jacket is none other than my co-host, Deacon Jerome Sampson from Wellspring Global Fellowship. Deacon Jerome, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone, and glad to see everyone here, and welcome to Living Well. And Pastor Traci has a great subject matter in store for us today. We'll be still a continuation of the series on speaking about relationships, and especially relationships in this in the Christian arena. And yeah, as a believer, and we're gonna have a good show for you today. Welcome.
In my upper left-hand corner, we have Reverend Dr. Wendy Mahoney. And so, Dr. Mahoney, introduce yourself and your fiance, please.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Dr. Wendy Mahoney, and I am in the Jackson, Mississippi area. It's a privilege to be here and to be able to talk about relationships and love after 50. And so here is my fiance, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bishop K, and it's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of this panel discussing relationship after 50. So I'm just excited to be here and ready to be a part.
Welcome. Thank you so much. In my right-hand corner, I have none other than Jackie Cairo Williams. Jackie, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for everyone being here and listening in to our Praise Radio in our Wellspring broadcast. My name is Jackie Cairo Williams. It's actually Deborah Jacquinetta Cairo Williams, but I go by D. Jackie Cairo Williams because it's easier to remember. I am a member of Wellspring. I love my pastor and our members. I mean, they're just all fantastic. I am currently a vice president of the Urban League Guild of Eastern Mass. I'm on the Mass ARP Executive Council. I am also doing research on Black women who were the first to accomplish whatever it was in their field here in Boston. There's 2 miles of banners of Black women, the longest art project in Boston. And it is the most fabulous work, one of the most fabulous works I've ever done. I am so grateful and blessed. So I do many more things, but I don't want to go through all that stuff. But thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And we're grateful for all of it. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Minister Colette Jackson, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hello, everyone. I am Colette Jackson. I'm one of the ministers at Wellspring Global Fellowship. I am also a senior HRBP HR director for the Executive Offices of Health and Human Services, and I am glad to be here today.
Thank you so much. Right in my center square, I have none other than Minister in Training Fred Johnson and his beautiful wife, Shelley White Johnson. Please introduce yourselves.
Yes, so I am Shelley White Johnson. I am a fitness enthusiast professional. I am the owner of Shell's Total Fitness. I've been doing fitness, exercise, / all of that. I've done it for about over 20 years, 25 years. And I met Fred in the gym where we've dated for about 13 years,
13 years.
13
before.
years, and then we got married almost 3 years ago. So very happy to be here this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fred Johnson. And yes, I am a minister in training at Wellspring, and I'm very happy to be a part of the Wellspring family. And I also do security there as well. While, church is in session, I enjoy doing that as well. And for work, I work for Blue Cross Blue Shield, Massachusetts Health Insurance. And it's a lot of work. And I'm one of the supervisors within member services. So it's very challenging every day, always something new to learn every day. And it's very challenging and rewarding as well. So, and I'm also very happy to be a part of this panel today.
Thank you so much. And last, certainly not least, Annette Hall, recording artist and member of Wellspring. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here today. A little bit about myself. I'm a native Massachusettsian, if that's a word.
I like it.
As Pastor Traci said, member of Wellspring Global Fellowship on the serving on the praise team. And I am head of cybersecurity programs office for Biogen. And yes, glad to see everybody here today.
Yeah, thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And again, this is part 2 of this conversation. So we are trying to pick up sort of where we left off, but at the same time, sort of expand the conversation as we talk about love after 50. There's so much to explore here. There's so much that we are all learning about ourselves, so much that we're thinking about, because these relationships that we're in and that we're growing in or that we're looking forward to are not just about us. They're about, at the same time, growing in our walk with God. Isn't that the balance or the challenge of being in a relationship? Is not just that you're in a relationship with that person, but how that relationship is challenging you to grow and mature in your walk with God. So I'm going to start up in my upper left-hand corner. I'm going to ask Dr. Wendy and Bishop if they would, since they're newly engaged, if they would just spend just a few minutes talking to us sort of about where they are in that and sort of what their thinking is about what got them here, because I know that they actually are both divorced. So tell us a little bit about your journey to engagement.
Awesome, you want to say that?
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things is that what have us here is basically being in that place where you want to be in a relationship. And so being in a relationship for us, for myself, is finding that person that I can be compatible with. And being in a relationship over 50, do it have some challenges? I'd rather say it this way. We have the time and we have the experience, we have the age, we have the moment to where we know what's needed and what is to expect of each other. So that's what makes it special. And one of the things is that everybody's relationship here and abroad, that's over 50, it has to be custom made. A lot of individuals are looking and thinking upon the fact of how they think relationship is. This is how a relationship is supposed to go. This is how it's supposed to be. And then you find out and you get frustrated because you're trying to make it be like something that you think it's supposed to be like. And it doesn't work that way. You have to custom who you with, and you have to recustom that. And so being at over 50, you should have the patience and the wherewithal to do that and have the moment to wait. And everything. Someone say you maybe need to be married within 6 months, within the first year, and that's not so. And everything, and you still is in line with the word of God. Because marriage is just only is being in a covenant with someone. And when you're in covenant and everything, and you in covenant with that individual, you are bonding and working on what you need to be. So let me stop.
No, don't
No,
stop.
go on,
Don't
yes.
stop. Don't stop.
Well, even
Go
to
on.
expound on
Yeah, yes.
that it is the covenant. And, you know, he reminds me regularly that we're working on it each and every day. You know, we're working on the relationship. We're building every day, and learning and, you know, figuring out what is our relationship, you know, and not thinking about what you think it should be, but operate in what it is. You know what I'm saying? And as you realize this is who I am, and you bring in your all of you, and we're talking over 50, and Pastor Traci knows the term that Bishop has used regularly is that we're in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
And so
That's it. This is the fourth quarter.
and you know, so there are things that are different, and you do have, you know, what you say you want or what you believe, but sometimes also when you get in the relationship, you realize sometimes what I thought I wanted, you realize you have to even reshape your thinking, because the relationship may require something else. And so we've gotten here with I don't know. I think we've been together 3.5 years, I think. Yeah, something like that.
She's the better timekeeper.
And then engaged 1.5 years. Yeah, about 1.5 years. So yeah, that's where we are. We're still building and growing, but more than anything, we are in covenant. And we're in covenant with God. So that's the most important thing. And a lot of people have asked, oh, when you're getting married, and to be totally honest, there's already a marriage that has taken place because we are in covenant.
I love this. I love this. This is blessing me. And you know what? I want to just speak to something, Bishop, you said, because what we have been doing is kind of just having conversation and then kind of going back later and trying to recap those moments of like a teachable moment, what is what I'm calling them, or nuggets. But I want to recap something that you said, you know, when you said you didn't want to speak to them as challenges. Because you didn't see them as that. And so I took the liberty of writing down that they're not challenges, but they're more opportunities for growth, right? You know, I think we have a propensity, and I think we said this in a previous conversation, to label things we don't understand. And so I agree with you. They're not challenges. They're opportunities for growth. They're opportunities to challenge ourselves to grow and to be better, because I think one of the things we often say about ourselves as we grow over 50 is that we are set in our ways. But you cannot be set in your ways and be in relationship, because the whole point of relationship is to grow us to be better. So how do I grow and be set in my ways at the same time? Impossible. So I offer that if we're set in our ways, we don't belong in relationship with anybody. You need to be in a relationship with yourself, because you cannot even be in a relationship with God and be unwilling to be teachable. Right? Because God is forever growing and changing us, right? That's the whole point of the relationship with God, is that we're being made better. So I love this. See, didn't I tell y'all this is going to be good? I told you this is going to be good. We're going to be so much better because of this conversation, and we're going to help other people be better too. I want to direct my attention to Center Square. I feel like I'm on Hollywood Squares. To Center Square, to the Johnsons. I want to talk about something that our audience would have missed because we failed to record last time. And that is that the last time we recorded, you were in separate squares because you were having an opportunity for growth. You weren't having a challenge, you were having an opportunity for growth. So tell us about the opportunity for growth and how you grew from it, please.
You can start.
Want me to start? Okay. You know, we've learned a lot over the years.
Last week.
Even from last week. From last week, we've learned from that. And we just learned how to, you know, we have disagreements and we give each other that space, but we always come back and really, you know, try to work things out in a nice manner, rather than, you know, no one's disrespecting one another, and we allow each other to talk and vent, if you will, and we just come back and we find a way to get back together and have and be happy. And I think that comes from like us over time having a robust relationship, because, you know, before we'll have these type of arguments and it'll go downhill. Sometimes we won't talk for weeks, sometimes days, but it was really challenging. But as of right now, we're learning how to overcome, those challenges when it comes to, like, disagreements. And we just find a way to, do the right thing and always putting God first. So that's the number one thing right there, is putting God first.
Yeah.
That's the difference right
Yes.
there.
Yes,
That's the number one difference right there, is putting him first, letting him lead, not saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna do it, you're gonna do it your way and I'm gonna do it my way. No, we're gonna do it God's way. We're gonna follow his lead. And he gave us the strength. He gives us the strength to overcome anything.
Yeah. So last week, we did have a really big disagreement / fight. And every time we have such a big fight, I just feel like this is the end of the relationship. I don't know if anybody ever had that feeling, like, I can't do this. I don't want to be with him anymore. I'm disgusted. I was so angry, so full of anger. And the day went on, and I knew that we had to do this show. So I just said, Minister Colette, I even said to you that I don't think I can do it. And the afternoon went on, and I just decided that, okay, I'm a part of something. I committed myself, and we're going to do it. I was in another room. Fred was in one room. So we weren't in the same square. But just to let you know that after we finished, he came in the room and gave me a kiss, and it was just all better. So I do want to say that our relationship is definitely growing, and it's been growing since we met each other, but I think it's growing now since we joined Wellspring over a year ago. We're just kind of like, we're trying to dive in, to just being members, being responsible, and honoring God. So
Yes.
a lot of things that we do now, we focus on building in his word. Yeah, so I think that's a big thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's why I was really so excited to be able to share this, because you had the opportunity for growth, the challenge that took place, and then you had an opportunity to work through it, and then to come back and share with us how you were able to work through it. And I hear people who might be listening to the show saying, oh, well, a couple of days goes by and you're not communicating with each other, or you're having this moment, but the Bible says don't let the sun go down on your wrath, right? I hear them quoting scriptures at you, and I want to be clear that sometimes we are quick to quote scriptures at people, but the truth of the matter is that what that text that says don't let the sun go down on your anger doesn't mean that we are to race through our anger, right? That's not what it means at all. It means that we don't let our anger go unnoticed or uncontemplated, is what it means. It's a reminder that our anger can be destructive or disruptive, right? The Bible says that a man's anger does not produce the righteousness of God. And what God is concerned about is that as husbands and wives, and specifically as a husband, the role is to cover and to protect. And so we don't leave each other emotionally uncovered. We don't have the opportunity to do that, right? We don't dishonor or disrespect. And so that, yes, we do have to work through our emotions and our feelings, but we do that in a way in which we don't leave each other devoid the emotional attachment that we're still required to have. Because how does the thief come in and rob the house, right? Except he first bind the strong man. So if you're over here being mad at me and you're disconnected, the enemy's wreaking havoc with the whole household. We can't have that. You know what I'm saying? So we still have to be the covering. It's the same with our children. Our children can drive us crazy, and most of us have adult children on this screen. Your children can drive you crazy, but as a parent, you don't turn your back on them and let them have to let the enemy have his way with them? Absolutely not. You're frustrated, you have that moment, but your job to protect and to cover and to take care of, that never goes away. And I love that. That's what the two of you have demonstrated is that, yes, you had your moment, but the role of covering and protecting, you would never devoid that. And so, amen. I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited. This is such good conversation. So for those of you that didn't have to answer that question, I do want to know, one of the things that Pastor Wendy talked about that I want Minister Colette, Sister Annette, and Sister Jackie to speak to is Pastor Wendy made reference to learning what she wanted versus what she needed. Like how that showed up for her. Tell me about your thoughts about that. When you heard that, what did that make you think about as it relates to yourself? What did you think you wanted versus now knowing what you need? Because those can be two really different things. Well, it's food for thought.
Who would like to delve into that one first?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question.
Is it? So I guess the way I think about it is when I was younger, what I thought I needed has totally shifted to now that I'm older. Like when I was younger, I thought I needed, actually, I didn't even really think that I was one of those women, like I could do it all on my own. I don't really, something I like to have a relationship or be married, but I don't really need that. I had the career, I was making the money, blah, blah, blah. Like that was my attitude, and now what I realize is that it's okay to have a man lead and cover you. Like I didn't even understand that whole concept. Because everything was about like, I can handle it. I got my own money. I can buy my own things. I can, it was all about that and not the covering and the prayer. And that's because I didn't have that connection with God at the time too. So like my whole mindset shifted from in my 20s. So I guess that's what love looks like after 50 for me, is like my whole mindset has shifted, but it's not only because of my age, it's because of my relationship with God and how that's grown. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Who wants to go next?
I would echo that sentiment, Annette. When I was in my 20s and other women were, oh, I can't wait to get married. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. And it's so funny how in all the years that have gone by, the shift has been very different because I do want to be married, but I want to experience marriage the way that God intended it. And so while God has given me grace to have a career, and he's blessed me with two wonderful daughters and a home, I'm so grateful that those, but purchasing a home was a wonderful experience, but I'm going to be fully transparent. I would like to have that experience with a partner. And in terms of the understanding of needs versus wants, I definitely know that I want someone who understands what it means to be the covering, because sometimes that's the part that becomes difficult for me, because I have been the covering for my children and myself for so long. When I heard you say, Pastor Traci, that how can the strong man, break into the home unless he bind the strong man? How can the burglar or the thief break into the home and destroy everything? And I know that God is that for me. I say all the time, well, me and God did so and so. God and I did so and so. But there is the absence of the earthly partner sometimes is palpable, because it makes a difference when you're going through some storms or difficult times, when there's no one to turn to the left or the right to have those conversations, because you don't want to bleed on your family or your friends all the time. And certainly when you watch what healthy, godly relationships looks like, that yearning becomes even deeper. But what I will say, the blessing in that is that it's something that God put in me. And so I appreciate it all the more because it's not about a societal norm or, well, this is what everybody else is doing. I recognize that that yearning, it's not me. God put that there. He put that there. So now I trust that he's going to answer. And that person, he's somewhere at the same time I'm praying, he's praying too.
That's good. That's good. Sister Jackie.
Well, you know, it's so funny because I say to God, thank you, God, again for not giving me everything that I asked for, because only you know what I need. I mean, because I've seen things, oh no, you know what? I think he's interesting. He has a job and he said he believes in God, you know, but after you watch for a while, no. He wouldn't be doing these things if he actually believed in God, because those aren't things that God would be going for, you know, or promoting for someone to do or accepting that, you know, because for me, it's definite respect and trust. It's conversation. It's actually, you know, learning that balance of, you know, so you were in charge. I'm talking about myself, you know, because I was a assistant vice president, I was a senior analyst in underwriting, you know, all that stuff. So I'm used to being in charge, right? And I've been married twice, and both of my husbands passed away, like I told you. And, you know, I let them be the man, but it wasn't like, I wasn't like, let me say this. I have, you know, people who are married who I'm not fixing his plate for dinner and all that. See, I don't actually feel that way about it. I don't feel that's being subservient. I feel like I'm in the kitchen. If I'm cooking, I'm fixing the plate. Why wouldn't I ask him? What does he want? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I feel it should be the same way, vice versa, because my husband was like that to me as well, you know? So it's like also learning yourself while you're learning your man, you know, and it's still talking. You got to still talk to God, because a lot of times you think you're right. You think you're right. You think you've been right all this time, but you weren't. Or you might have been right for that time, but things change as you grow and mature. You know, you see more things, you learn more things. God gives you more information. You know, you become more humble. It doesn't mean that you become subservient. It means that you're humble, you're strong, you're respectful. And that's what you want back. And you also really do want the person to believe in God for real. And you want to see that, not them just saying it. You want to see it, you know, just normally, how they are with their community, with themselves, with their family, with their pets, with whatever. You want to see it. And you want them to see that in you. And still there's a learning. It's always a learning. It's always, you know, finding more out about each other. Because a lot of times, guess what? You don't even know everything about yourself.
Amen.
Okay? You don't even know that. And then when you're with someone else, you learn some more things about you that you didn't know.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, and it's things that could, other things, outside things that could be stressing you out. Then you're mad with whoever you see. You know what I'm saying? And it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with asking God to help you through this, to guide you through this, to give you direction with whatever that situation is. And if you can't handle it, leave it in his hands. And try to be present with who you're trying to be with as your partner, as your man.
Sister Jackie, question. One of the things I heard you said when you said you was at a time where you allowed him to be the man. What did that look like in your relationship?
In my relationship, it meant this. Since I was used to being in charge, you know, it means like, wait a minute. It didn't mean that I was less in charge. It meant that I respected his opinion and listened to what he said as well. Not pre-thinking what my answer was because of what I thought I knew. You see? Because, you know, you think you know the answer already. So now it's like, no, he knows what what he's supposed to be doing or what he's gone through or
Mm.
what he wants in our relationship as well. It's up to me to also listen to that to see if I understand that, him being, how men are actually raised differently from women.
Absolutely.
That's just the truth. And men of a certain age are definitely a
Yes.
whole different mindset. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
As opposed to younger men. Most older men have a different type of a mindset. I realized, since I was younger.
Especially as you
in that
mature
age
in the faith.
well,
Yes.
Yes.
I think men are
that
not
answer?
raised different, they're socialized different.
Yes.
They're socialized different. Women are generally, this is normal for us to be able to articulate, have conversation, socialize. That's very different. Socialization for women looks different. And so I'm glad that Deacon Jerome asked that question, because my next question to all of you was about the articulation of what you want in the relationship, right? How important is that? Because when I'm counseling couples, one of the things that I hear a lot of times is that people will say, I don't feel comfortable articulating what I want because and then when I say, tell me more about that, oftentimes what they'll say to me is, well, I feel like if I have to ask for certain things, then even if my partner does it, it's not authentic. It's a matter of them doing it because I've asked for it. Right? If I have to ask you to fix my plate, if I have to ask you to put gas in my car, if I have to ask you whatever it is, it's more of I'm doing it because you're doing it, rather because you've been asked, as opposed to it coming from a place of authenticity. So talk to me, all of you, anybody can start us off about how important is that for you? Because the flip side of it is perhaps not getting your needs met. So anybody start us off? I see, I over here.
How about Dr. Wendy?
I see the K, he's laughing.
Yes.
So let's start with them.
Well, I'm learning that the other person is not a mind reader.
Come on now.
And so because they're not a mind reader, there are many times that I have to say what I want because they don't have a problem doing it. Now, that's the thing that I know. I know that if I ask for something, and sometimes even if I think I want something or just mention it in passing, we do that with each other. So it could be something he just mentions, and before you know it, I've gotten it, or whatever. But the reality of it is that there are certain things that, again, in my mind, I think that should be natural or he should just do. And as a man, he's saying, just ask. It's like, just say what you want. And I had to really start checking myself to say, why didn't I ask? Why am I assuming? We had the conversation about this thing, and what we came to is that there's social norms that we have bought into that say this should be this way. And in actuality, we tend to lose out because of thinking or believing in that social norm, when in reality, if we're in a relationship, I should just say what I want. And that's a growth opportunity for me to be able to say those things. This is what I want, or knowing the other person and how he operates, and to say, okay, this is how he operates. This is my expectation. And how does that match up? Okay. And then what work has to be done in order for me to get what I want, or what what it is. Sometimes, most time it is just a want. It's really not a need. It's a want. I want it to be this way. And so it's a growth opportunity for me in that regard. But those social norms, I think we buy into it and believe it. And therefore, that's what we're operating in. And that hasn't even been communicated in the relationship.
Amen. Amen. That's good.
I believe
so
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I think she said it very well. But one of the things that I can say is that in a relationship, for men, for myself, women have already came up with this protocol of how things should go, how it should be. And the thing of it is, want to go back to the area of talking about the covering. and understanding what a covering does and what a covering is for, talking about your protector, talking about your provider. And now we know this is what the male does, but oftentimes the women don't allow it to take place because they have already put a system in check that they're checking their boxes that it need to be done this way. And it was from a simple situation where she wasn't at the address and she called and she said, well, you knew I wasn't there. Could you have brought me some food? And I said, I'm here at the house and I'm not doing anything. If you would have called me, I would have jumped right at that and got you some food, but I didn't know you was in need of any food and everything. And it might sound simple, but the thing of it is that for me, I will provide anything for her and make it available for her. But if I'm here at one location, she's at another and she have a need, I want her to call me and let me know what her need is. I'm going to provide it. But if she wanted me to call, just checking up on the phone, hey, you need something, what you doing? Where's that freedom and that respect of her doing what she needs to do in her space? Because now we have this thing where we have these phone call things going on. I'm just checking. And I'll know about that. I'm just checking. But it can become a nag.
Overcompensating.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to the thing. But one of the most powerful things is that she never have to worry about, will I do it? Because I will. But the thing of it is, don't hold it as a mandatory thing of what they say common courtesy would have done that. Well, that don't fit common courtesy. It fits, that's what you desire for me to do. I may miss picking up some flowers this evening. And it might mean something special to her. But the fact of it is that now we're trying to work on a system that the women have created that is not fitting the guidelines of what we're trying to do. So how can I be special to her, provide her with something special when she's telling me everything that how she want it done and at what time it needs to be done? And so we taking what relationship is all about and everything. But one thing I can add and close with is that I shared with her from the beginning of time is that at the address here within the home, there is, everybody have to set theirs up different. Like I told you at the top, you have to custom design your relationship. And I told her at the home, there is a safe haven in the house. And in the house, that safe haven is the master bedroom. There is where we lay, we rest, we love, you pillow talk. And so you allow that to be the safe haven in the house. And by having that, you already identifying to each other if a situation occur, if it occur within the home, like she might leave and go out with you guys, with you ladies, to the mall and go shopping. And I may say something like, you have any money? And she say, no, I'm good. And I got a little bit. But when she come home with a whole bunch of bags of shoes and stuff, but you just had a little bit. So I might get up and walk behind her and say, hey, about this. And she run into the master bedroom. What is she telling me? Don't be fussing, because she made it to the safe haven zone. So that means I would have to stop the fussing. And then what that does, it allow me to see that, hey, check yourself. You don't have to be upset about it. She just got some shoes. And by that time, you'll find out that the shoes that's in the bag is all your shoes. And see, the thing of it is that we'll start an argument and never allow ourselves. But the safe haven in the home for us is understanding that we set this up. So if it's somebody start arguing first, the other person that don't want to hear it, head to the bedroom. So that way, you got to a safe zone. So I can't even cross the threshold to come in here to compete, because we've already made this this arrangement that, hey, that's the safe place to be at. So I hope that helps somebody.
Well, brother, I can say I love the story, and also I just want to know who sleeps on the couch now when if things aren't settled, because that's a great
Nobody.
idea.
That ain't
I
a thing.
know,
Ain't
I
nobody
know.
sleeping on the couch.
No, I know it's a joke, but I was just saying that's a beautiful story because it creates a safe space for you both, you know.
I like it. I like
Yes.
it. Thank you so much again for being so incredibly transparent.
Yes.
We love it. Okay, who wants to go next?
Oh, I wanted to add, so getting to the question about like sort of articulating your desires and how important that is to you. For me, it's very important. I think you asked a question last week about like, what have you learned about yourself? And that was one of the things is I learned that I needed to articulate what I want, to set boundaries on how I wanted to be treated. And so I had a story of like a guy that I have been seeing. It was around my birthday time, and he said that he wanted to get me a present. He didn't know what to get me, so he was just going to give me money. And I said, no, I don't want just money, because to me, that's just like you can hand people money. Like I wanted him to give me something from the heart, and I didn't want to say what it was. So I just had the conversation. Okay, you see what I like. I had a nice little Birkin bag, and I had these little things that I showed him. These are the types of things I like. You see how I dress. You know my family, talk to my family, find out what I like. And then he did a great job at picking out something for my birthday. But I articulated like I don't want, money. Like I have money in the bank. Like if you want to give me something as a gift, I put boundaries on what I wanted and what I expected in a relationship. I mean, that's just a simple example, but it, like the Bible says, you don't have because you don't ask, so I just want to make it clear what my boundaries are, what I expect in a relationship. And I also think communication is key. Like if you don't share that, like everything could be misunderstandings because you don't communicate and say how you're feeling or what you expect. Then you walk around with a grudge or a chip on your shoulder, like, why didn't they figure that out? And you're walking around having bad or ill feelings towards someone and they have no clue that you're feeling that way. So I think it just creates, if you don't communicate what you want, it creates dissension, and what have you in a relationship. Especially if you get mad at them later on about something else, then you start bringing up, oh, well, remember that time, you did this, and they didn't even know you were carrying that on your shoulders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From the Johnsons.
So now what was the question again? I know it's related
had a
to.
lot of talking.
I know.
I love this. You know, I'm the master of conversation. I love a good conversation. We're talking about the importance of articulating what you want. Have you learned to do that? And how freely are you able to do that in your relationship? Is it something you feel like you're still learning? Or is it a place where you feel like you've mastered that? You're comfortable saying, hey, this is what I want, or this is what I need. I feel like when I'm counseling couples, it's something that comes up all the time, whether they've been married 3 months or 30 years. When I was doing couples boot camp during COVID, it was one of the things that was coming up a lot with a lot of couples, was the idea that people were having a hard time articulating what their needs were. For lots of different reasons. And it's so funny because when I would break them up separately, I'd say, well, why is that hard for you? You've been with this person for X amount of time. And then they would say things like, well, I'm afraid to hurt their feelings, or I'm afraid they'll feel this way about it. And then one of you said it on the screen. I can't remember who it was. I think maybe it was you, Sister Annette, or maybe you, Pastor Wendy, who talked about gender roles and feeling as if, well, if I feel like as if I say this, that there's a part of him or her that will feel like I'm taking something away from them because they didn't think of it themselves, or they don't feel like that's specific to them, whatever it is. But what it does do is it leaves people devoid having their needs met. And it's hard to hold people to expectations you never defined, right? I feel like once we define them, they're not holding you to it. But if we never did, well, it's, it's, rather loosey-goosey and anything goes, right? So I'm curious, how do you two handle that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that, or like over the years, Shelly and I learned to be a team. And that's one of the really good quality to have. And just just not doing things, you know, your way or my way. And we just come together as a team, work as a team. And I think that's a really want that we both have that we love, because we share everything together. And we were very open with each other, honest, and we talk about everything, and we can be ourselves. We can be ourselves around one another. And I think that just opens up everything, because you feel very comfortable around that person. And it's just a great thing. I've told her stories of, before we met, and because I'll be honest, before we met, my life was a mess. And I used to like sit her down, because I didn't want to hold anything back. I just wanted to be very open with her. And there was times when I said, all right, honey, have a seat, grab some popcorn, because you're gonna need it.
It's so true. I would sit there with my feet up, and he'd tell me all of his stories back in the day and the things he's done and whatever.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I think we do, for the most part, articulate what we want and need with each other. I have to say, Fred knows a lot, mostly, of everything that I want and that I need. I'm so serious, mostly. I don't have to, he knows how to pick out clothes for me. He knows how to, he cooks every night. When I was married before, I cooked morning, noon, and night. Just because that's what I wanted to do. But Fred loves to cook, so I let him cook. I love that when I'm out for a long day, I'm taking care of my ex-husband. When I come inside, food is cooked. He says, honey, go take your shower. I love that. And, he knows when it's time for us to go to the gym. A lot of times I don't want to go when he goes, but he encourages me to go. I'm trying to think of other things.
Let's see. I just want to add in that it took time. I think over the years, it took time for me to really get to know her, and I've got to learn the audience. So, and I just was able to, know her, quite well, without her even saying anything. I just know what she wants at times. I know if she has a craving for ice cream, like for an example. So what I'll do is I'll, after cooking dinner, I'll go out to like Ron's and get us 2 ice creams, and won't even tell her. I'll just throw it in the refrigerator, throw it in the freezer. And then at the end of the night, she'll say, oh yeah, I have a craving for some sweets. Oh, I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom for a minute. I'll be right back. And I would go to the kitchen instead, grab the ice cream with a spoon, and bring it back in the room. Say, here you go, honey.
Yeah. And so there is, some things that I do desire to talk to him about. Some things I get a little nervous talking to him about, like, for instance, just saying that when you've heard me say this to other people, though, that when you're in a relationship and when you're married, that there's a certain way that you approach things. Like, you just can't be like, okay, for instance, like, when you say hello to certain people or other, like, can I be honest?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
Absolutely.
just saying hi to like another woman or whatever. There's a way that you say it. You can't just say, oh, hi. You have to say, oh, how you doing? And keep it moving. So, and vice versa, there's
Right.
there's a way that you answer the phone if it's a male or female, going both directions. You have to be aware that I'm a married person. I'm a married you know, or I'm in a serious relationship. So you just have to be aware of things like that. You can't act the same way. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
yeah.
And that took time over the years as well. And you know, it's something that is crucial and is very important in a relationship. And sometimes it can make or break a relationship. Because if it continues, if those behaviors continue by a person, then it can really make the other person feel uneasy. And so I think it's very, very, very important, especially when it comes to the opposite sex, you know, greeting them, saying hi to them. There is a way you say hi to them.
Yeah.
Because it can come off like flirtatious, like
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
And that's something that you wouldn't want to have as a behavior.
Yeah. Like if I, you know, if I say hi to a guy in the gym, or let's say whatever, I say, oh, how you doing? I don't say hi like that. I don't. You know, I just don't.
And there's times where, you know, we have friends that, you know, the opposite sex, we give them hugs and things like that. But it's still, you know, it's all in friendly. It's all friendly, and it's platonic, nothing, you know, innocent, exactly. It's innocent.
You have to make sure that the other person understands that, though.
Right.
Because it can definitely, anything can just flip a switch. So.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yes.
Yeah, I love the rawness of this conversation because, you know, these are, when I tell you these are the things that come up in conversations when I'm counseling couples all the time. These are the things, when I tell you these are the things that land people in divorce court, for real, they are. These are the things, you know, and when I tell you that everything is in the Bible, everything is in the Bible, right? When the scripture says, you know, specifically in 1 Thessalonians, to shun the very appearances of evil, that's exactly what it means, right? To shun the very appearances of evil. God, when I say God thought of everything, he thought of everything. Like he left no stone unturned, not one. You know, it's like unbelievable how he thought of everything. And I'm so glad that these are conversations that the two of you all are having, that people actually have these conversations, because it means you don't end up in front of me on a Zoom having a conversation with me about it. And now I've got to be the, you know, the one to tell you, yeah, well, you know, these are things that you should have been talking about and you should have been honoring and respecting, because guess what? You know, let's just be real. There's a real enemy to be contended with. Let's just be real. Let's call a thing a thing. The devil is real. It's real. And people, oh, that's real. It's just real. And I say to people all the time, it's a very fine line that, you know, men and women can be friends. They sure can, but it's a very fine line. Let's just call it what it is. It's a very fine line for everybody. It's a fine line. You know, it's one decision away from being something else. It just is what it is. And let's not pretend like it isn't. So I love that you're talking about that. This is good stuff. Did we hear from everybody? We probably only got like 10 minutes left. Minister Collette, did we hear from you on the same subject? And did you talk to us about this already? About the importance of articulating what you want? Did you answer?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. But I will say that a lesson learned is to do that. I figured if I can negotiate a salary, if I can negotiate a sale on something, I can negotiate what's important to me in a relationship. If I am willing to hear and understand another person's needs, then my needs are equally as important. And there's nothing that is too small. There isn't anything that shouldn't be on the table. These are lessons that are learned. So when I think about past relationships, I would probably say that this is probably one of the biggest lessons. And if I had it to do all over again, I would not have put my ex-husband in the position to second guess or try to understand what was going on up here, because I was too afraid to say it.
Right. I love that you said that. And I will say sometimes, and I love this. See, this is why, like, you know, I could do this all day. This is why I think this is such an incredibly important conversation, because part of what comes up for a lot of people, and Pastor Wendy and I have had this conversation a million times, actually, I think Sister Annette and I have had this conversation as well, is that, sometimes in order to understand where people are, you have to go back to the beginning, right? To understand the end of a thing, you have to go back to the beginning of a thing. And so sometimes when people tell me they have a hard time articulating what they want or they need, or what they need in a relationship, I have to go back to childhood. What was your childhood like? How comfortable were you, or were you ever allowed to articulate what you needed then? Because if you weren't, then you grow up to be somebody who can't do it then either. You never got to practice that. You were never told it was okay for you to say you had a need, right? And so if you never got to say you had a need then, you don't automatically get to be an adult and all of a sudden now you're comfortable articulating you have a need. You learn to be somebody who suppresses that they have a need, and you kind of get in where you fit in, and then you have all this resentment and animosity and frustration because nobody ever seems to see you in the room, and nobody ever seems to acknowledge the fact that you have a need and that you don't get any attention, and blah, 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 blah. And so now you're like a screaming child having a tantrum all the time, right? Right? And then the rest of us are just supposed to contend with that, because you never learn to articulate, hey, there's something I want in this and I'm not getting it. Many of us are what I